Hello everyone, it's the 19th of May 2024. I'm Gary Waterman. This is part 3 of the directed energy weapon systems concerns. I've only just got around to doing it. I do apologise. Remember, this document and all of the ones I've shown in the videos are all within the document file link that I'll put in the description of this video, and they're in most of the others. You can also find them on my Telegram channel, and the Telegram channel link will be in this video as well. So you can look at all of these documents, you can print them off, and I do suggest you do that. You can verify and corroborate it and see it's all true just by following the research and looking at it yourself on Companies House records if you want to. So we've got to a point in part 2 where we're just about to discuss Royal Yacht Squadron Limited. So we're now looking at that company, and here you go. You can see on the left there that it's registered to the Isle of Wight. Remember, the Isle of Wight is heavily linked to this. It's linked through to my company. You've got the Island Offshore Group that's linked to the apparent child trafficking and apparent murder of children murder of children within the care system. That links to Ghislaine Maxwell, and you've also got the link to Ukraine, which is heavily linked to international child trafficking, according to research, and the money laundering and fraud that also then links through to my company and the Isle of Wight. So anyway, let's carry on. So Isle of Wight is key. That's the point I'm making. I think you've all gathered that by now. So we're just looking at their incorporation documents now, and on the left here you can see one page of their incorporation documents links to Liberties Limited. And you can see on the right here, this shows my previous research. Liberties Limited links to Michael Lockwood and Global X. Now, if you go into the if you want to verify and corroborate this even more, you can go into the document for Michael Lockwood, which was in the document file, and you'll see that Liberties features in that very quickly. And it also links to the World Trade Center building disaster, which we've got here on the left. You can see where it says 9/11 Liberties Global X American Airlines. It links through to the American Airlines company as well. So Liberties we're talking about here, of course. Liberties, you can see links to Robert Maxwell research as well on the World Trade Center documents. You can go and look at the World Trade Center document and see that that verifies the connections. Remember, we're talking since 1844, this fraud. So trying to evidence and unravel it all is a huge task. But when you actually look at it all together, you'll see that the same companies feature throughout, and that fraud is linked all throughout as well. So okay, so it now moved on. So you can see on this right hand side now we're within the same person record of that company that we were looking at, and it now links to Oxford University Endowment Management Limited. Now remember, Oxford is key because Oxford is where Ghislaine Maxwell and Robert Maxwell lived, and their companies, associated companies, including Farrett and Co and some others, linked through to Oxford, where some doctors, now doctors are heavily linked to this system of fraud and the child trafficking. Madeleine McCann's, the holiday they were on had 6 doctors there, including Madeleine McCann's mum and dad. I'm not going to speculate about what happened to Madeleine McCann, but I'm just showing you the facts that doctors are linked through to this, and a lot of the doctors studied at Oxford University, which is where Ghislaine Maxwell and Robert Maxwell had quite a lot of control. Anyway, I'm talking too much. Let me show you the evidence. So we're now looking within that incorporation document and register for the Oxford company, and you can see that they link to First Class Company Services Limited on their incorporation document, and research on the right hand side there shows that this links to the World Trade Center disaster, Finchley Road, Max Clifford, and also Rudy Giuliani, who was the mayor of New York and who was Donald Trump's, I believe, legal advisor, or solicitor. So we've got First Class Company Services, and it also links through to Jeffrey Epstein. So you'll see that in the Jeffrey Epstein document. If you go and look at that document, I don't think I've done a video on it, but you can look at the evidential research document and you will see First Class Company Services links through to Jeffrey Epstein research very, very quickly. And it also links to a South Coast company. So now we're looking into a linked company. So we're within the same person again. We're looking at the Royal Yacht Squadron Isle of Wight Foundation. And now we're within, you can now see we're within the Royal Yacht Foundation on the top left there, and a different person now. So Philip French, we're now looking into their records, and you can see they're linked to Mithras Investments PLC. And here's that company, Mithras Investment Trust PLC. And first thing to see is where it says on the left there, registered office address. It's got care of FRP Advisory LLP. They link through to the fraud. You'll see from the other documents. And on the incorporation documents, you have McFarlane's, which we've already seen in this document features. And on the incorporation document, you've got Amazon companies. Now, I know full well Amazon is heavily linked to this system of fraud. And remember, we've had a digital system gradually been implemented across Western societies, and in fact the world, you know, shopping online, etc., etc. I suspect the whole thing was to eventually move to digital currency system focused around child trafficking, exploitation, and control of the general public through a criminal process and system of fraud, which they've almost achieved. Now, this is just looking at that incorporation document. You can see all these companies that are linked. So these company names are all on that same incorporation document. You can go and look at it. Okay, so you've got legal and general, you've got insurance companies, you've got banking systems. And this just shows the previous research in relation to Mithras. So what they do, remember, is they have a company and then they name it very similar names, and they're all linked through Companies House records, through the directors and secretaries or the incorporation documents. So this is just searching Mithras. It brings up my previous research, and here you go. You can see it links to the World Trade Center disaster, it links to Max Clifford, it links to Bournemouth, Christchurch and Paul Council. On the right here, you can see that you've got a Mithras Leasing Number 4 Limited company, which links to Swift Incorporations, Jordan's, Lloyds Bank, NatWest, Bournemouth, Christchurch and Paul Council. All, remember, you've got illegal entity companies and fraud throughout the whole system. Wherever Jordan's Limited is mentioned and some of these other companies, you can guarantee that there is fraud in there. Same person record now links to Disaster Emergency Committee. So these people that are involved in this international fraud and child trafficking have the ability to warn the public of disasters that could fit their narrative. Okay, the Disaster Emergency Committee making decisions about what is a disaster, is what is not, what needs to be publicised, misinformation that can be given, etc. Remember, these people can't be trusted. They are part of a fraudulent criminal system of deceit, lies, etc. And you can see the address for this company is almost immediately linked to the fraud. This address, but various different numbers within Wenlock Road mentioned throughout. So there's connections through the addresses. So we're now looking at their incorporation documents. So if you've seen my other videos, you'll know there's several things to look at on the Companies House Register. You've got the overview page, which is on the left here. This is part of that. If you scroll down, but you've also got the people tab, so you can look at people within that company. You then click on those people and links to other companies. But you've also got the filing history section, so you can go into the filing history, and an important document to find in there, if they haven't removed it, is the incorporation documents. That's what we're looking at here. And you can see that there's an address which features throughout the fraud, Gresham Road, but various different numbers. So they've changed the numbers within the roads as a method of trying to hide the fraud, it appears. And we've also got linked to that company now, Save the Children Fund, and also Christian Aid. So we've got Save the Children Fund page. You can see it was in court, sorry, not page, registered. So this is the overview page on Companies House, okay, the first page that you get to look at. And you can see here on the right that it was incorporated in 1921, so it's an old company. And you can see that it is a false entity company, because on the overview page there is no other name mentioned, and yet on the incorporation document it has the Save the Children Fund Limited. But remember, they've just called it Save the Children Fund, so there's no extra the anywhere. They have removed that from the register, so it doesn't match the incorporation document. Okay, so that's fraud. And here you can see on the bottom that Waterlow and Sons Limited is linked to that company. Now, looking in through Save the Children Fund, you've got a doctor again. Remember, I've mentioned doctors, and you've got this company linked to it, TCK, and look at the address. So it's slightly different, but it's still Wenlock Road, but the number is slightly different. So let's look at that company. And that was fairly recently incorporated in July 2022. And looking on their incorporation documents, you can see you've got companies made simple linked to it. Remember, this is the company, if you look at the World Trade Center research, where a company name has been removed from the incorporation document. Well, that's fraud for starters, and it appears as though it's been done to hide the evidential links through to the World Trade Center disaster, the child trafficking, the fraud with the UK government in being involved, as well as the fraud on the side of the US side of things in relation to the World Trade Center disaster. So now we're looking at a different company, the Save the Children Alliance Trading Limited. And that links through, you can see, through the same person to Save the Children International. We're now looking at that company, incorporated in 1999. And on their incorporation document, you have Bates Wells Braithwaite. Same address, and Bates Wells Braithwaite links through to the Madeleine McCann case. It links through to Keir Starmer. It links through to the child trafficking research. And here it is on this document. Also, this name, I haven't highlighted it, but Stephen Lloyd features throughout all of the research, links to Jeffrey Epstein, Max Clifford, etc. And on this incorporation document, you have the chairman, who is based, it appears, in Switzerland, okay, Geneva, Switzerland. It's an offshore island, an offshore not offshore, but it's classed as a tax haven. And you can see the name has been changed. Remember, this is a legal document. They've changed the name, but it looks like they've initialed it. But that's a completely different name. I mean, read into that what you will. So now we're looking through another linked company, Afruka, Safeguarding Children. Afruka, a play on the word for Africa, I suspect, because there's many African companies linked to it. So now we're coming in now and we're looking at a different company. Remember, we're talking about directed energy systems and the concerns of weapons being integrated into the 5G system and the ULEZ cameras. So this was a company that was given to me as being involved in producing the street lighting and the directed energy systems and the 5G systems. Here we go. This confirms that Talenza is involved in the street lighting, etc. So we're now going to look at Talenza Limited. And they were incorporated in 2002 in July. So less than a year after the World Trade Center disaster. And they link through one of their directors, or former directors, to Sherborne Wolfhanger Limited, that is in liquidation. And here they are. And they're based, look at the address, Christchurch Road, Ringwood. That's Dorset. Again, remember, it's where my company started. It's where the connections are through somebody within my company. And we already go back to Dorset here. And on their incorporation document, you have Sherborne Developments Group Limited. You'll see that Sherborne School was linked to it as well. That's in Dorset. And on the incorporation document, we've got Company Registrations Online Limited. And when you look at the incorporation documents for Company Registrations Online Limited, which is here, because this is from my previous research, you can see that this company, Company Registrations Online, links to Nicola Bulley Research. So on the left, Nicola Bulley. Remember, we've got the directed energy weapons around Nicola Bulley's death with BAE Systems through her husband's link to BAE Systems. Also linked to Thales, who was creating a directed energy weapon system that you can look up now called Dragonfire, that is now being tested and used by the defence contractors for our country. But there's a collaborative effort, remember, with Russia, Ukraine, my company, the intelligence agencies, and the same companies that were developing these directed energy weapon systems around Nicola Bulley. So now we've got another Sherborne Development Group Limited company. You can see we're going through and into the person record. You've got this person, and on the right there you can see they're linked to SDG Holdings. Now SDG had already featured, you can see on the left there, to Nicola Bulley, research of Nicola Bulley. And on the right there you can see that it also links to research. SDG Registrars links to research of David Cameron, and it links to Global X again. So it's all linking in. And I keep saying linking, and you'll say, well, yeah, but links. Remember, there's over 5 million companies, and remember, there is fraud throughout, and it is linked to the deaths of certain individuals through research, to child trafficking, etc. So moving on, so we've got another company, Sherborne Birch Copse Limited. So at the top you can see it's the same person that we're looking into, and again you've got the address in Ringwood, Christchurch Road. Now going back to Talenza Limited on the left there, you can see at the top, sorry about the noise of this traffic, just wait for that to go. Talenza Limited there, you can see within that company record, and you can see now it links to a surveillance company. Remember, we've got what appears to be control of the general public through digital means, through surveillance, under the fake, I suspect, the fake guise of a terror war, which started with the World Trade Center disaster, but ultimately will be to lead to the removal of cash to a digital system that will ensure that child trafficking and this system of fraud is almost unstoppable. And then there'll be a world of slavery. So here we go, Talenza Limited. You've got there a doctor linked to it. Another doctor then links that doctor. Remember, we've said doctors links to Cambridge. Remember, we've got Oxford and Cambridge companies. I know this is really complicated, and it is, but remember, I've been looking at this for a couple of years now. And when you go back and research everything a few times, you will see what I see very easily. Most people are now. Cambridge Gliding Club Limited. Let's look at their record. So they should have an incorporation document according to the register of Cambridge University Gliding Trust Limited, the in brackets. And they've got the Cambridge Gliding Trust Limited. The Cambridge Gliding Trust Limited. No, it's completely different, isn't it? Cambridge University is no university. Okay, so that is fraud, and that company can then be used to launder money through and all sorts, tax evasion, etc. Another company now linked to the same person, Ethereum PLC. Now this is important. That same person, okay, that's linked to this company. I've got the records there. Oh yeah, we've gone back, sorry, to another person there. But there's a link through to Siemens. Now this is very important. We're going to come to Siemens in a bit. But you can see Siemens is based in Hampshire, which is close to Dorset. Remember, my company, someone within my company has very close links to Hampshire, Isle of Wight, Dorset, and also Salisbury as well. But here we go. So we've got a Siemens connection through from Talenza. And that becomes important in a minute, that you'll see. So look at the incorporation documents. You can see that they appear to be forged. Form 10 features throughout. We'll talk about that in a minute. See how the lines are missing around the company name there. Forge 10 Secretaries FD Limited. But all the rest of the form is all within line. Okay, so you've got it all within the lines, all consistent. There's no other lines missing. That's a sign that it's been forged. And you can see it here as well. Okay, you see these? It looks as though stickers have been tried to be placed at a later date over the documents. I mean, this is one example. You'll see many more. But let's move forward. So within that company now, we've got TMF Corporate Administration. If you go into TMF, you can see at the top right there that you've got Typhoon companies. Remember, Typhoon features throughout, and we'll show that in a minute. You've also got within the same company, Salisbury Funding Limited. Remember, someone within my company has connections to Salisbury. Remember, we had the Salisbury poisoning, okay, in Salisbury, and then the links to Dorset. You'll look at see the evidence and everything in relation to that in my Rishi Sunak video and document part 7. But you can look at the document. Remember, all these documents, you can go and look at them in the document file link. And now we've got Gatwick Airport linked. Sadiq Khan is linked to the airports. And just to show you that TMF that is mentioned there, you can see there within correspondence address, TMF Group, see there in the middle, underneath correspondence address, TMF Group Limited. It shows that previous research of that links to Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell, Lega links, and World Trade Center building. See on the top right here, links to Clifford Chance. Clifford Chance links to Max Clifford. Remember, there's over 7 million companies, 5 million companies though. None of this is going to be a coincidence. Remember, fraud throughout. And here we go, Typhoon Research links to David Cameron. And you can see David on the right and there. And you can look at the David Cameron document, research document to show that. Now within TMF Corporate, you've also got now BAE Systems. So remember, we've come from that company. I've forgotten the name of it. I've forgotten. The company we've come to has led now through to BAE Systems. We've already shown that it's got links to Siemens. So they're all interlinked. All right. So all these companies that are involved in the technology and the street lighting have a financial interest in the directed energy weapons systems. That's what we need to look at here. Okay. We're talking about the directed energy weapons concerns. But you can just see it's naturally linking through to concerns of the child trafficking. So within this person now, so we've gone back to Aferian PLC. You can see the top right here, and we're looking at Karen Back. And you can see all these child associated companies, Learning Foundation, Kids, Tadpole Nurseries. Back into Aferian PLC now, and another person, they link to Centrica. You'll know from the previous documents that Centrica as a false entity company is part of the fraud. Back into Aferian on the left there, and it links to Standard Chartered Corporate Finance. Standard Chartered links through to the fraud. Another person now links to a royal company, Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. Looking at their company registrations here, you'll see at the bottom right here, their incorporation name from 1900s, an old company, should be the Royal Scottish Academy of Music and Drama. It's completely different. That is the incorporation name on the incorporation document. So that is a forgery of the company's house registration system against the incorporation document that's attached to it. And you can see here, this is also just another document of page, of the incorporation document. And the memorandum of articles shows that that name has never been registered because it's this. Even though, remember, the dates match up. So you've got 1900, I think, Royal Scottish Academy of Music and Drama. What's the date on this? I haven't actually checked to see if it's the same date, but they normally are. Actually looks as though the date has been removed from this one. 1900 and yeah, it looks as though I hadn't noticed that. It looks as though they've removed. You should have the wording of the year there, and it looks as though it's been removed. I'm just trying to see if there's any other. Oh, you've got a stamp here, 1900. There you go. So registered in 1900. Just about read that. It's a bit faded. Anyway, let's move on. So it's fraud. So it hasn't been registered lawfully. It should never have been trading. Now within the same person, you can see you've got Scottish Power Companies, London School of Theology. And I've just put that because the previous company name I thought was interesting, London Bible College. And of course the incorporation document won't match that. So we've got these connections to so-called Christian networks. Well, I'm a Christian, and there's no way I would agree with forgery that causes victimization and suffering of innocent people. Okay, so the Christian network is clear has been infiltrated and compromised by this system of fraud. And history seems to suggest why that is the case. And there's a video link that's on the bottom of some of my videos and suggests the history. Anyway, we're now into the same person. You can see it links through to lottery companies, including Camelot Lottery Companies. Okay, so we're just going to look at these. Here's Camelot UK Lotteries Limited, their registration record on Companies House, incorporated in 1993. And you can see here, look at the change of names And it was called Camelot Group Limited on the left there, highlighted in red, from July 2010 to August 2010. A month. Exactly a month, actually. Now that gives the ability for money to be laundered through the company. You can then the forged bank documents can be used. You close the company down or change the name. You then remove that liability and accountability for any illegitimate activity. And you can see on the incorporation document it links to Legibus. And Legibus, no surprise, links through to the fraud and Max Clifford in many, many ways. Here's another company, National Lottery Enterprises Limited, linked to the same person. Let's look at their incorporation document. And no surprise, on their incorporation document you have Jordan's and Sons Limited. Okay, and all these other companies are mentioned as on the incorporation document. Temple Court. Okay, Temple features a lot, doesn't it, in this? Temple links back to many things, but also the legal system. Another company called Camelot Lotteries. Let's have a look at them. And on their incorporation document, you have Legibus again, which links to Max Clifford and links back into the fraud. Now, within the same person, this is important, you have De La Rue International Limited. Remember, De La Rue is the currency producer, produces the banknotes, the coins for the UK and many, many other countries. And remember, De La Rue links very quickly through to a particular person within my company and also the system of fraud. And here we have a Sky company linked to the same person. And also a Fujitsu company. Remember, you've got the Horizon Fujitsu Royal Mail scandal fraud that's been highlighted in the news a lot recently. The largest miscarriage of justice in the history of the UK, with almost 900 people being falsely blamed for taking money in relation to that. Them appearing to try and blame it on an IT issue, and it wasn't those individuals. Now you've got a link to Fujitsu. Let's look at Fujitsu Services Holdings PLC. They should have an incorporation document that's from 1915 called International Computers Holdings Limited. It's nothing like it. Look at it. This is the incorporation document. Go and check this out. Okay, go and look at this. You'll see it yourself. It actually says Accounting and Tabulating Corporation of Great Britain Limited. So they have falsified the register. Let's have a look at the date. Okay, no, so the date of this, registered in 1935 or 36, according to this stamp. Let's have a look at the date, 1935 and 1936. So it's not been registered. Okay, so we've got an older date. Sorry, I hadn't looked at this properly. So according to this 1915 to 1977, it was called International Computers Holdings Limited. But here we are with another document from 1935 or 36 with a completely different company name, which isn't even there, okay? Because they've claimed on the register from 1915 to 1977, it was called this. This is fraud. Okay, sorry, let's move on. So now we're looking at Mayflower, which was another company mentioned to me by somebody. And lo and behold, I do my research and it does indeed connect to, you can see here, remotely controlled street lighting solutions. Okay, extensive experience in design for manufacture and cost engineering allowed to create a custom solution and exceed their expectations. So let's look at Mayflower. So we've got Mayflower Technology Limited. And you can see they're incorporated in 2022, so they're quite a new company. You go into the company and it links to Mayflower Sheffield Developments Limited. And if we look at their incorporation document, it's linked to the notorious 788, 790 Finchley Road. and also Temple Secretaries and A1 Services Limited. If you look at the Harman High article, type in Harman High article Finchley Road fraud, you will see why that is so relevant. That address appears to be linked to international government fraud and taxation fraud and dictators, corrupt dictators around the world, etc. Well, let's stop the video and we'll do part 4